Hey everybody, welcome back to James Draws Everything. Continuing today with our Drawing Every Country in the World's Flag series. New day, new page, brand new page here. What are we on, page 6, 7? I'm losing track, but I think we're almost halfway there. And today we're going to be going back into South America, and we're going to be doing Colombia. All right, so Colombia sits in the northern part of South America. If you're coming from Panama into South America, Colombia's your entry into the continent. It is the right up there on the Panama Isthmus, and Colombia actually used to be a part, or Panama used to be a part of Colombia. There was a federation of Ecuador, Venezuela were also part of that. Gran Colombia was the first kind of independence movement in that area. But before we get to that, let's just start drawing the flag here. I'll give you a little bit of a history lesson on Colombia, because it does have a fairly simple flag. And I know usually when you think of Colombia, there's one thing that kind of comes to mind first, and that is, of course, drugs. Right, so Colombia, for the longest time, the drug kingpins pretty much ran that government, ran that part of the world. A lot of cocaine, and then marijuana and other stuff as well. Big coffee exporter too. So yeah, I know you've probably seen a million, different movies about the Colombian drug trade. Kind of like Italian gangster movies. Like there's no shortage of those. But I'm jumping ahead of myself. Colombia, Spanish arrive around 1499. They do bring African slaves into the area. So the indigenous people, not completely subjugated by like the Spanish Empire, right? Because they had slaves to do a lot of the work, so they were protected Spanish subjects. Especially. The way the Spanish Empire worked, if you did convert to Catholicism from pagan religions, those people would have had more autonomy in that region. Not total autonomy, but more political rights. Simón Bolivar, he's kind of the hero of South America, not just Colombia, but many countries. He's basically kind of the leader of the independence movement in the early 19th century, around 1810-ish. So yeah, they form an independent Gran Colombia, which is Colombia. Panama is part of Colombia at that point, and then also what's modern Ecuador and Venezuela are part of that Gran Colombian Union. Gran Colombia dissolves in 1830, so that's basically when Colombia kind of achieves independence. It's a little bit of a rocky road. They're not totally independent from the Spanish, but that's kind of generally accepted as Colombian independence. Right, so, yeah, a bit of a tough time in the 19th century. Again, kind of going back and forth between governments. A little bit of political instability there. Kind of like I said before, the British and the French brought their own flavor of politics to the New World, right? So in the British, you see a lot of, parliamentary division of powers, constitutional structures. You see common law, whereas in the French republics, you see like a civil code, right? So their jurisprudence, their legal systems are different. With Spain, because Spain is still a very Catholic country at that point in the world, or at that part in history, a lot of these former Spanish subjects, they're always attracted to strong men, right? So you get a lot of like military dictatorships. You get a lot of kind of unitary presidential republics where the president is basically a king, right? So different European ancestry definitely leads to different forms of government. So Colombia being no different. And then kind of jumping into the 20th century, if you think of Panama, what do you think about, right? You think about Noriega, maybe, if you're if you're a little bit older. And then you also think about the Panama Canal, right? There was always a plan to cut the trade routes, right? Like, instead of going all the way around South America, right? Can we do this massive infrastructure project to cut through the Panama Isthmus and make a canal so that ships can go through? That would cut your travel time in half, right? So the United States actually separates Panama from Colombia in 1903. Colombia doesn't really get any remittance for that, though, until 1921. They were paid about $25 million for the Panama Territory. And Panama, we'll get to that one. That's a whole nother issue. But Colombia, so after that, they are their own country. They are an independent republic. In the 1960s, a lot of leftist guerrillas kind of start like civil wars there. A lot of the nationalists, the right in Colombia, are fighting against that. And then you also have military factions. And then you also have the drug cartels, right? So the drug cartels, not really left or right. Like, the drug cartels just go where the money goes. And the drug cartels, they kind of have more power than the government in a lot of instances. So a little bit of a messy situation in the 20th century, as you're kind of getting nonstop civil unrest between all those factions that are in power in Colombia. But things actually kind of settle down in the 21st century. You do get some political stability. You get a lot of economic growth, big crackdowns on corruption, a lot of anti-corruption movements there. Cracking down on the drug violence. And then for the most part today, Colombia is one of the safer countries in Latin America, right? So a lot of economic development, a lot of political stability. So they did recover quite well from the 20th century. They still have some issues, like, for example, the crisis in Venezuela. With communism basically doing what it does and completely ruining that country. It's created quite a refugee crisis. So, Colombia being right next door gets a lot of Venezuelan transplants. And, unfortunately, they bring their problems with them, right? There's a lot of drug dealers, a lot of prostitution. They're not sending their best. So Colombia does have to deal with that. That's kind of one of the big geopolitical issues that they're facing right now. But yeah, other than that, fairly stable country. Still, they've definitely turned the page as far as not being completely reliant on agriculture, right? There's a lot more industry and manufacturing in Colombia now, right? So it's not just all coffee and cocaine anymore, but those still are major exports of Colombia. So let's just write it off here, Colombia. And Columbus Day. We're still celebrating here. It's a week-long Columbus Day celebration. So of course that is where Colombia gets the name from. Basically anything that's Colombia, it's from Christopher Columbus. So what does the flag mean, James? The yellow is for the gold that's there, the gold natural resources. Blue is for the sea, and red is for the blood of independence. There have been some alternative descriptions for those colors. So sometimes they'll say that the yellow stands for justice, loyalty and vigilance for the blue, and then valor and generosity for the red, or liberty, equality, and fraternity. So it's one of those countries that, it means it means whatever you need it to mean. And it is a simple flag, right? So we're going to draw one of Colombia's main exports for our bonus content today. All right, so we're going to draw somebody with a large burlap sack full of something here. Trying to get this export out of Colombia. All right, and I'll just draw some of this stuff just kind of spilling out, right? Very, very granular. And then we'll just put the the insignia here on our burlap sack. So just give me a second here. I'm just gonna work in a Colombian flag design. But of course you're gonna label your goods, right? It's got that Colombian seal of approval. So the red, which stands for the, man, I'm already forgetting. I forgot what the, well, I know the red stands for blood, but what were the 40 other things that it stands for? The valor or whatever, and then the blue, water. Was it justice or, yeah, I already forgot. Sorry guys. And then let's just color in that burlap sack as well. So it's kind of a light brown, heavy duty, can stand up, can stand those long flights on those little puddle jumpers. What do you call them? The tiny planes that are always involved with smuggling these goods over borders. So, alright, so there's that, and then we'll just use our darker brown color the inside of the old sack here. Alright, and then I'm gonna switch to my finer chiner here, and I meant finer liner, my finer liner marker, the finer side of the liner, and we'll just stitch in some of that burlap. Okay, so make sure we got all that all taken care of. Just do a few little crosshatch patterns. Get the top of the sack as well. Okay, and then let me just get a black out of here. So I just want to outline this stuff, pouring out. Right, customs checking out what exactly is in here. Hopefully it passes. It passes inspection. We'll see though. And again, it's very granular. So I'm just gonna put a bunch of dots in there. Alright, and then we'll just outline our flag on the bag. Flag on the bag here. Alright, so there's that. And we will say Colombia. And then they just got some little writing underneath it there. Okay, now I'm just gonna, now that I got my colors all mapped out, I'm just gonna go in. Just gonna do a little bit of cartoony outlines here. Use that black line to outline everything. And then I'm also going to go in with the black and then just kind of shadow the inside of that bag, right? So we'll put a deeper shadow on the bottom and then just carry those lines up top, not going completely over the brown, but just suggesting some of that texture on the inside, and maybe just accentuate some of those cross hatches a little bit. Okay, and then over here I just want to take my heavier brown. I'm just going to shadow that in a little bit, since that's the side that's in shadow from the light, and we'll just work over some more textures there. And then I can notice too, I do have my what do you call it, my pencil lines are still visible, so we'll go ahead and get rid of those. Let's just make that lip of the bag kind of stick out a little bit. And of course the flag itself, because it's just printed on burlap, it's going to have a little bit of that stitching visible through it. Okay, and then maybe we'll just kind of fatten up these lines here on this this stuff. Alright, and then just get rid of these pencil lines, and then we'll call it a day. Okay, just brush that off, and then I just got to remember just to kind of go back in and color it in. Yep, just gonna color all this stuff. One of Colombia's main exports. We'll just make this coffee very dark, very dark coffee here. And yeah, coffee. Yeah. What did you think I was drawing? No, I can't do that on YouTube. No, coffee. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was misleading you guys there. Yeah, coffee. One of the main exports of Colombia, right? Coffee beans. So here's some big, dark roasted coffee beans. I could go for some coffee right now. Alright, so let's just work that texture in, right? We can't just leave that white, right? There's no such thing as white coffee beans. And, this stuff gets you going, wakes you up. There you go. One of Colombia's main exports. Colombian coffee. So good morning, everyone. Help yourself to some stimulating Colombian coffee, and let me know what you think. There's a flag of Colombia. We'll be back tomorrow with another one, so like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.